Hi, it's Molly from the semi-retired MD team. Today's episode features a special guest, Dr. Nicole Shirvani from our 2023 Fast Fire Summit. You'll hear how Nicole, a full-time psychiatrist, used a backup offer on a duplex and leveraged creative 1031 exchanges to steadily grow her real estate portfolio, all while working full-time. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your portfolio, this episode is packed with inspiration and proof that financial freedom is possible. Let's dive in.
We're very excited and fortunate to have Nicole Shirvani joining us today. Hey, Nicole, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Nicole, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in real estate?
Sure. So I'm a psychiatrist. I live in Florida. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and I got interested in real estate early on in medical school. Bought my first condo when I was 20 in Toronto, and then sold it, I'd say about 4 years later, which is one thing we'll talk about. I wish I didn't do. And then went off to med school residency and, remained interested in real estate. When I got my first job as an attending, moved to Southern Oregon and bought a duplex in 2018. And that was my first, I guess, investment. After med school, that was the first investment.
How did you find that property? And can you tell us a little bit about your experiences?
Sure. So I knew that it was in a great spot near the hospital where I was working at, and it was kind of a stretch of the area that had a lot of duplexes. And so I saw a for sale sign on the lawn. It was a for sale by owner, and I contacted her. But then she got another offer and sort of went with that offer. A couple of weeks later, she contacted me again and said, guess what? That offer fell through. Are you interested? And she decided then to work with an agent, went with an agent, listed the property, didn't go with me again, went with another offer. That was, I think, all cash. And so I was like, okay. So then a few weeks later, my real estate agent called me and was like, hey, guess what? She's back. And so that's how I got the property. I was just very patient, and I wasn't willing to overpay or anything like that. And it worked out. And I bought that property in 2018 and I sold it in 2020 and bought it for 280 and I sold it for 470. I'm quoting this right, but and then I needed to do a 1031 exchange, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, what I love about that story is, we do have people in our community who will see for sale signs, or they'll buy a property and then they'll just kind of put the word out that they're interested in something else in the neighborhood, or they'll see a property next door that's kind of run down and they'll reach out to the owner. And it's a really great way to find off markets, and for sale by owner is another really great option. And then I want people to hear how being the backup offer, oftentimes that offer comes to you, because sometimes you'll be in a multiple bidding war and you won't get the deal, but being that backup offer and telling your agent you want to be that backup offer will oftentimes work out.
Yeah, we were just talking about never giving up. And it's one of those things that a lot of people have this mentality of giving up after they lose that initial offering. And so, like you said, if you just put in that backup offer, a lot of times it'll come through.
Right. And that's exactly, I signed to be the backup offer. So that was great that final time. It really worked out.
So now you had the real estate bug for sure.
Yeah.
That was really a sweet deal. So what did you do?
So then, I just kind of kept on working, and I didn't really, it was doing well. It was a long-term rental. And then I decided we moved primary home. So I moved to my primary home in the same town. And within a few months of that, I got a job in Florida. So I knew that I was going to move. And then the market wasn't as hot as it was. I bought my house in 2020 at my primary home at a good time, great interest rate. The prices weren't too crazy yet. And the first primary home I had, we sold and we did make money. But because you have that, exemption, I didn't need to do a 1031 because it was my primary home. So that was nice. Of course, I got a job in Florida and decided to move, and then turn that house into an Airbnb when I moved. So that was the other thing that I did with the 10. And then I ended up selling that duplex, and I bought two properties as 1031 exchanges, one being a condo on the beach and another one being a single family home that I originally thought I might live in, but I decided not to. So I ended up selling that one and then doing another exchange. So kind of like a domino effect of exchanges. And then when I was coming to Florida, I realized where I live, they're getting a residency program. There's a lot of growth. It's like one of the fastest growing counties in the country. So then I focused on purchasing real estate in the area, like investment real estate. And I just cold called an agent that I looked up here where I live. And, I said, hey, I introduced myself. We talked for a bit. And she called me a few weeks later. She's like, hey, listen, my colleague, her parents own this duplex in a pretty nice area. They're elderly. They've got one tenant there who's been there for 30 years and another tenant for 17. They don't want to put it on the market because they really care about these tenants. I was like, okay. So, I ended up purchasing that duplex. I still have the one tenant decided to move out on her own. I still have the, tenant who's been there 32 years. I did slowly increase his rent from 400 to, 700. He's a really good guy and I just don't. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm fine. I don't want to do that. On my conscience, it's good. And so he's been there 32 years, great guy. And then I had the other side completely redone and, it's renting for $1,250. That property is a real success because in terms of cash flow, I bought it for $165, and could be making, $2,500 a month in rent.
Oh, that is a few percent roll. So yeah, questions and an off-market deal, right? The inefficiencies of off-market deals are amazing. One thing I really want to talk about is that house, that primary residence that you had in Oregon that you left, that you turned into a short-term rental. Can you talk to everyone about how you made a short-term rental and then you're also doing midterm rentals in there?
So it's a neat property. When it has a 600 square foot cottage in the back, and the former owners really had that built like 7 years ago for their in-laws to stay in. But, that house ended up needing to be sold. And so I decided to put that on Furnished Finder because the house is only a mile from the hospital, not even probably. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it's been consistently rented by nurses and they usually come every 3 months. And then my main house became an Airbnb and it's doing really well because it backs onto a country club and it's kind of, it's more of a luxury rental, I would say. And it's worked out really well because I can let the back cottage use the laundry in the main house when they want. And I like having someone in the back cottage because I always it's a traveling nurse. They're very nice and they always keep an eye out on the property for you. So it's been really successful. I've had the house used by, people coming in to play in the orchestra in Ashland or, performing at the Shakespeare Theater. And then insurance companies putting up families who needed to stay because they need repairs. I didn't know that Airbnb actually has a line for that. So I had it booked by a third party and it was still through Airbnb. So that was nice. That was, a couple months booking, but again, I'm just kind of mindful of the average number of nights that I need to have for this year to make sure it doesn't go over 7 because this is the year I'm going to do the cost seg for the main house.
Yeah, that's really nice. Insurance companies often pay that Airbnb right? But they're booking for months. It's a really sweet deal when you can get in with an insurance company. So I love that.
But it might take her over that average of 7 days.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of mindful of that. But the good thing is each booking is separate. So that's good.
Yep, absolutely. And the midterm rental that you have in the back, do you have a sense of what you could rent it as a regular long-term rental versus midterm rental? Like what the difference in pricing is that you're getting?
Yeah, I would say probably about $1,000 a month because it doesn't have laundry inside as a long-term rental. And I'm renting it for $1,600 a month right now. And it's just a small little cottage. I probably could rent it for $1,800. I just needed to see if there would be what the action would be like. And I looked at the other midterm rentals on Furnished Finder in the area. So I wanted to be competitive. If I do end up putting in a stackable washer and dryer, I will definitely raise the rent too.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do you have a sense of the cash on cash return you're getting from renting this back house plus the main house?
No, you know what? I need to do that. I just, I have not done that, but it's, if I lump it all together, it's pretty sweet. So I've been kind of lumping it all together. And I'm probably at like 25-30%. So it's for a short term, if I treat it as a short term.
Are you self-managing it from afar?
Mm-hmm.
So how's that going? Any challenges you want to talk to people about or any good things?
No, I would say so I initially, I was in the middle of moving. It was kind of chaotic and I went with a property manager that does short-term rentals in the area and they charge 25%. And they did not want me to rent the back cottage to a traveling nurse or anything else. They wanted it all lumped in and I was just, it really bothered me. So as I moved and got myself situated here, I decided to take it over and I just went on my own and did the midterm rental. So that was been really positive. it's been fine managing it on my own. I still have connections in the community. I kept the same cleaner who was cleaning before, and she's amazing. So I actually feel I have more control, and everything's automated through, Guesty or whatever. So I don't have a lot of like day-to-day stuff that I have to deal with.
And this is, how would you characterize this market of Ashland that you're talking about? Is it more of like is it a local destination in terms of vacation, or is it more of just a urban center? What's it like?
It's probably somewhere in the middle, because Medford, so it's actually in Medford, but it's 20 minutes from Ashland, and it's down the street from the biggest hospital in the area in the Rogue Valley. So I would say it's a combination of families coming to the hospital for something or visiting family in the area. Get a lot of that. There's a lot of kind of gathering at my place, like in terms of cooking and gathering, not parties, but just family get-togethers, which is nice. And it has a great backyard with a gas fire pit and everything. So people really like it. So I'd say it's a combination of the two, but it's not a vacation destination for sure. You've got a connection when you come to Medford. Usually.
Why do you think it's doing so well?
I think it's the proximity to the hospital. It's the, just the outdoor space, the indoor space, a very inviting kind of neutral decor. And it's, I think when I moved in, I had an addition put on and really made it mine. And I, had the soaker tub and the fireplace in the bedroom. So I think people really appreciate that aspect of it. And I haven't seen any other Airbnbs in the area that are like that.
It's very luxury. It sounds like somebody who wants to follow in your shoes. I know you have long-term rentals and short-term rentals and a midterm rental. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's considering investing in real estate and is inspired by what they see you've done?
Take your time. Don't feel like you need to rush into it. Again, everything just sort of unfolded for me as my life changed. And, as I had to move or as I had to do a 1031 exchange, I wasn't in a hurry that I had to have like this certain number of, it's nice to have those goals, but I would only move on things that made sense, and really build relationships. And I heard this myself. If you have a good agent, if you have strong connections, it will help you. And I believed it, but now I really believe it because it happened to me, agents bringing you off market deals, agents connecting you with their team on the ground over there. So it's nice. And my agent in Strasbourg still brings me, shows me stuff that hasn't gone on the market yet, so it's really nice.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Nicole. And
you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Take care.